be expected. He's probably the strangest person I've
Welcome to
ever
Metagame, the gaming and media podcast from SpawnCampCouncil, the think tank that takes content to the highest tier of excellence. Tonight we're giving the highest information on the latest game, so boot up, log in, and enjoy the show. This week, Untitled Lego Set. Terry Jones is only pining. Half-Life is virtually complete. The key to Kingdom Hearts release dates and the battle for your bikini bottom. But we aren't talking about any of that crap tonight. Tonight I'm your host, Adam 2Well, with our co-hosts, OldDirtyRobot, KingDawes, and the squanchiest squatching gaming, SolidscorpionZ. We had an eventful 2019 in gaming, and today we bring you the top moments with our always fun year in review. We're doing it in reverse this year, so we're going to save the worst for last. How's everyone doing?
Doing well.
Awesome.
Good to be back.
Fantastic. Had a vacation there, a little time off
Yep.
to enjoy family
winter break.
and the holidays. So hope everyone had a happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus.
Whatever floats your boat.
All right,
Holiday time.
let's go off with the best of the year, guys. King, what do you think about the events of the year?
Best events that I picked, or best event that I picked for the year was actually an event. It was the Community Con with Goth and the whole Destiny community. I usually pick this just because the amount of work that goes into just the con itself and how much it's grown over the past few years. You know, we went, what was it, 2016 or 17, somewhere in there?
16, I believe.
First year of it, right?
No, it was the second year. And it was in the convention center, and it was hot, and there was no one there. It wasn't a great time. And I think we stayed at the convention center for what, like an hour maybe,
At the most.
and then dipped out. And now it's grown to a huge event, big sponsors, lots of charity events, and the amount of money that actually gets raised for St. Jude's really incredible. So that would be my number one event of the year.
Yeah, I actually went to it this year. I went to the one before, and I think it would be interesting to kind of compare notes going all the way back from the ones that you guys went to. I saw a generational leap between I guess would be 2018 con to 2019 con.
Okay.
And the fact that Bungie is involved in that now, I think is really interesting. And then bringing other games on board. We actually got to play Borderlands a little bit early.
That's interesting.
At that, but yeah, in general, it's a good time. Event for me wasn't necessarily a con. It was Bungie splitting from Activision. I think that kind of big news in gaming. There aren't a lot of times that partners of that size split, and if you remember clearly, Bungie kept the intellectual property of Destiny. And that's because that was written into that 10-year deal. If you remember, they signed that 10-year deal. They kind of exited around the 7-year mark of it. But really exciting when it happened. You could tell the Bungie team, the way they took jabs at Activision on the way out about holding them back. But it's funny, I know we'll get to worst to last, but I'm beginning to wonder if that wasn't potentially on the other end of this list, as excited as I am about that switch. And then it also made Blizzard fans excited for a hot minute because they thought maybe they could exit the Activision mothership as well. But turns out Activision's got a much tighter leash.
Well, they're like completely partnered.
Yeah, they're partnered. So
yeah, they're like 50-50 of that company. So
that was misguided hope. A little bit different.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty big event. Yeah, and seeing it go down as well as it did, I guess, and them bouncing back and having content right afterwards, I guess, was probably the best part of that. That they didn't just fall flat on their face. I see that being a problem in the future.
Yeah, I don't think any of the stuff that we're currently seeing in Destiny is like because of their split yet. Like they're still kind of pushing out content that they already had. Yeah. But I think in like the next, like 6 months to a year, we'll really kind of see like what that split really means for Destiny. And I don't know. I think it's gonna be good, but we'll see what happens.
They claim there are decisions that they're already making. Because they're not with Activision, but it just depends. You talk to the player base, and some of those decisions are positive and some of them are negative.
Eververse is still a thing, alive and well.
What?
Solid. What about you? What was your big event of the year?
My big event of this year, last year, was GDQ, or SGDQ in particular. It was my first one that I've ever been able to go to. And it was, besides this now AGDQ, was their record for how much money they made in a single week raised. I mean, just going to it and having watched it all the time, like the event, it's crazy when you watch these events. You go to, I suppose you guys probably feel the same way about Guardian Con, but like just going and sitting down in that room to watch the runs happen live was crazy. Like it was insane, but it wasn't like really didn't feel any different than me just sitting on my couch and watching at the same time, you know.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like the camaraderie around the event was really cool. I mean, and they raised at the time a record amount of money, and now just this last AGDQ that just got done like 2 weeks ago, they set another record. So I'm probably gonna have it on my list again for best of 2020, unless something else crazy happens. But I'm excited to go back again for the summertime.
I got my passes to PAX East this week, a couple days ago, and they're for the first time they're having a Games Done Quick stage.
Nice.
At PAX East this year.
Yeah,
for the first time.
Yeah, they've been doing like they had a Games Done Quick Express, I think, at PAX. What was it, West? Is in the fall? I can't remember which PAX it is. There's a PAX that's during the fall.
East of spring.
Well, no. West.
Is it
Seattle.
West? West is in the fall. Yeah, they had it was
I think
like
that's right.
GDQ Express, so it was only like 2 days or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a lot of people come out for those runs too, and I think they made close to $1 million in those 3 days. So I mean, yeah, I feel like they're just kind of getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Everyone's kind of seeing like this is a really fun event to watch or attend. And I noticed even when I had registered for SGDQ, they were only accepting like 2,200 people to come to the event. AGDQ was 3,000 people, so they're extending how many people can actually go to the event as well. I think people are really starting to get into this, and I'm hoping summer is the biggest yet. So
yeah, I think it's locking in pretty well. You know, the numbers on Twitch are pretty good. You know, a lot of, there's a lot.
Can I just say,
the biggest thing,
if you haven't been to a con, go to a gaming convention.
Holy shit, yes.
It is so much fun. They are our people. You kind of, you're going to get sick.
The level of passion there is really
super high. You're going to leave with the flu.
There will be body odor.
There will be body odor. You will be completely overwhelmed. But just, you know, just realizing that there are people out there that are into the same shit and care about it. It's something I would recommend for anybody that's passionate about gaming.
I mean, for me, like, because no one else really cares about speedrunning and the fucking group of people that we're all hanging out with online here. But just for me to walk into a place and to have literally every single person there for the exact same reason was mind-blowing to me. And just meeting a couple guys and talking to them throughout the week, like, it just felt it was really cool. It was really reassuring, like, hey, this is something I really enjoy. And there are lots of other people that really enjoy this too. And these are only a couple people, like a percentage of the people that actually enjoy this throughout the world. So, yeah.
Pretty awesome. My event, my best event of the year was just coming out of nowhere and Apple Arcade dropping with all the titles that they had. I had no idea it was even coming, and then all of a sudden it was just like you're inundated with just these fantastic games. What the Golf, geez, man, just the list is fucking phenomenal.
Grindstone, fucking Bleak Sword.
Bleak Sword was cool.
There's the new one that just came out this week, Butter Royale.
Yeah. There's a cricket game on there that it's kind of short, but it's a lot of fun. It's like Cricket Through the Ages, or
it's a good time, man. All right, how about series, guys? Let's go with Solid. You can start us off there.
All right. Well, for best series this year, this is kind of funny about Pokemon. I put in there.
Seconded. Yeah, there's my pick.
Yeah, I mean, Pokemon is finally on a home console. You can finally just sit there on your TV and play it, but you can also take it on the go. You can connect with other people to play it. It's like it's so awesome that we finally have Pokemon in this way. Yeah, there's some drawbacks, and I mean, the year I'll kind of get into that. But as far as like for best ofs, I mean, this is probably one of the better Pokemon games that I've played since Gold, Silver, Ruby, Sapphire, around there. Still not my favorite. I still think Gold, Silver is the best, but I thought the story wise, this was a good one. It didn't hold your hand like Sun and Moon did the entire time. But there's some really fun stuff, and there's always new things happening, like the new raids that are going on. Like every week, there's new stuff to do. So if you're really into Pokemon, it's really good.
Okay. King, you second that? Got more to say?
That would be my choice, absolutely. Yeah. So I actually played Pokemon myself when it first launched. And me being 30 years old, that was great just to relive back into the Pokemon scene. But what I really got out of it is my daughter's 7, and now she's getting into it. And it's nice that, me at 7 years old, I was playing Pokemon Red and Blue. Like, what a difference to start out on a game like this as opposed to Red and Blue on a fucking Game Boy Color sitting there. The animations and just the interactivity of everything, and it's such a better experience. And Pokemon has evolved so much over. People say it's still the same game, but really it's not. The overall premise is the same, but the animations are new. Now what do we have? 1,000 Pokemon,
something like that. Yeah, it's 1,100 or something like that. Yeah.
It's crazy, and what an experience to pass that on now. And who knows if Pokemon keeps going for the next 20 plus years, what we'll end up at. So
it's definitely hung on longer than I expected it to. I mean, that really, and when the cards first came out, I just didn't.
We'll see what as long as Temtem.
That's right.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with Temtem, but I have a feeling. Still top.
That's what Pokemon needs, though. Pokemon needs a little competition, someone to kind of push their systems and some innovation.
Well, it's kind of like Pokemon cards versus like Yu-Gi-Oh cards back in the day, or like Dragon Ball, or what was it? There was like a Dragon Ball Z collector's card game that was really big at the same time as Magic the Gathering. And Magic beat it out, obviously, but I remember the Dragon Ball card game, because Dragon Ball was so popular as an anime. You gotta have two versions of something for.
Yeah, look at Yu-Gi-Oh! That gave Pokemon a run for its money like crazy. But
oh god, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was huge. Or Digimon, when it first came out, was really big.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My series of the year, they seem to have brought it back from a sort of abysmal place, is Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fallen Order.
Yeah, Fallen Order. They released it on Steam, and got some legs under it. It's a good game. And, from the problems with Battlefront that have been there, with the loot boxes, the controversy and everything else, just having bad gameplay and the game's just not being fun overall. This one's really done it well, and I think they're kind of coming back, It looks like Star Wars maybe, because for a moment it looked like we're kind of going to lose some Star Wars, But yeah, I think that's probably my favorite series of 2019. Robot.
Think about that. EA had that license, and they've been able to in 5 years have cranked out one decent game and managed to really piss off the entire gaming community with Battlefront 2. They put a lot of work into it, and I think it's supposedly has improved, but I don't know about you guys, but I can't go back after all that. The series for me in 2020 is it kind of covers a broad spectrum, but is The Witcher. And the series came out at the end. I love that universe. I loved that game. I think it's amazing that at the Steam winter sale it was one of the top selling games. So it's had a bit of a resurgence. And also, so they've greenlit season 2 and season 3. There's supposedly an anime coming. They've greenlit that, and then the developers at CD Projekt Red have worked with the author to renew the license. That was a big deal. They had a split with the author because he didn't sign a contract that included royalties, and then decided he wanted royalties on the game. So hopefully they got that worked out. But who knows? Rather than a Witcher 4, I kind of hope that it's a spin-off in the same universe. But great series, and I think it's got a bright future.
It's just gonna be a mini game where you toss coins to the Witcher.
I didn't even bring up Gwent. I'll play Gwent all day long.
Aren't they shutting down the Gwent servers? I thought I read something that.
Yeah, that's kind of disappointing. But there was a point in Witcher 3 where I spent all of my time playing Gwent.
Those games are not. That's a great part of those games, man. Little side missions and side quests and mini games. I mean, I'll do the same thing with like Red Dead. I'll just start playing poker, Red Dead Redemption 2. Just be for an hour, and I'll be like, "What the hell am I doing?" Or fishing, you know. But anyway, all right. Game companies. Who was the best company of 2019? How about it, King? Starts off.
So I'm going to kind of echo what Robot did earlier, but I'm going to say Bungie. I'm super impressed with when you can take a company that loses a vast majority, a huge pocketbook with Activision, and you can still put out a game that people are playing. I think that's great. You know, kind of comeback story. Bungie's always been a great company or developer with the Halo series and even Destiny 1. But to kind of recover from losing all that financial backing with Activision, it's great to see them continuing on.
Yeah, I would have to second that. I had Bungie on my list too. And the thing that really stuck out in 2019 for me was the Luke Smith developer dialogue when he wrote the multi-part letter to the community. I've never seen a developer kind of that transparent about their game. Really, really exciting to see that. Now, I'd like to see that more frequently. It's kind of a one-time event, it looks like. Hopefully that's maybe once or twice a year. But to really say, hey, here's where we've been over the last 2 years. These were our missteps, to acknowledge those. And this is what we plan on doing differently in the future. I think it was huge. I don't think I've ever seen a company be that transparent with their player base.
My only gripe with Bungie, I mean, transparency-wise, is like on their patch notes. I need to see numbers on patch notes, not damage increase. Damage.
They've done it a little bit.
Damage reduced minorly. Like, I just want to know: is it a 10% increase? Is it like a 2.5% decrease? I just want to see every 14
seconds.
Yeah. Right, cooldown time decreased. Oh, okay.
I don't understand why they don't give numbers. Like, just give us like a 1, a 2, a 3.
Sometimes they do. The breakneck buff that's coming up, they gave us actual rampage increased numbers, and it's like, why can't you do that for other things? Like I said, class ability cooldown decreased. Like by what? Like a second and a half? By 20 seconds? I know.
And they have. There's so many people playing this game, and I understand like people min-max the shit out of it, but like, I mean. You play League of Legends and you look at the patch notes and there's things that are like 0.01%.
Look at Diablo's patch notes are amazing.
God,
yeah.
Diablo's
Battlefield 4 when they had all their patch notes coming out when they first released. It was ridiculous. Yeah. The
down to the
trajectory on the jets.
Right. Right. Increased by 0.02%. Yeah.
I mean, I understand like some people don't care about that, but like there's a lot of people that do care about that.
Yeah.
Well, and it takes away, honestly, when they're vague, it makes good YouTube content.
Yeah.
Right.
For the Fallouts of the world. Well, they go figure that stuff out.
And like you have to go in and test it yourself. And you have the day after the patch notes out, you can just go to YouTube and see everyone's tested it and given you the numbers anyways. But
right.
Yeah, it's smart on their part.
Big brain plays, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, Robot. You said Bungie as well?
Yeah, Bungie as well. Just one last note I'd put on that. I'm excited about that, them as a developer. I'm worried about losing things like High Moon Studios.
Mm-hmm.
That's the part. I'm excited about everything else. Mm-hmm. I worry it because High Moon really helped them put out some interesting content and good DLCs. The Warmind DLC, that's kind of what got everything back on track. They made some really interesting exotics. Bungie gave them free reign on exotics, and it was kind of nice to have a different perspective in the game. Yeah. I worry about Bungie in an echo chamber.
Fair enough. Solid. What do you think?
So my game company was Riot Games. yes, they're League of Legends, but fuck, they have like 10 other games that they've got under development right now. They've got an MMO, they've got action game, they've got a card game, they've got a fighting game, they've got an RPG, they've got so many fucking games coming out in the next couple years. I know this year alone they have Legends of Runeterra, which is their collectible Hearthstone like card game. They just came out into open, or not open beta, but closed beta. You had to sign up for it. I haven't installed it yet. I'm planning on it, but and then they've also said that they've got their mobile stuff coming out as well this year. They're bringing out League of Legends 2 mobile, like it's called Wild Rift, but it's like all the other shitty MOBAs you see on mobile. They're gonna finally have their own. They've got TFT, which is auto chess, which is a lot of people play that. They're finally bringing that to mobile as well. Everyone's always saying Riot Games, you make the most money out of all the game companies. Like the next 5 game companies combined don't even make as much money as you do in a year. What the fuck are you doing with this money? And what they're doing with the money is they're pushing out patches every single week, sometimes twice a week, and it looks like they've been developing games. So they always impress me every year with the amount of content and stuff that they push out. So they're definitely my top game company this year again.
Yeah. Are they developing games like Steam develops games?
No. They're not doing that. They're doing their own.
That's what I worry about is these companies, they don't mind cutting a game. So they'll have a library, and most of those didn't have titles. So when they showed a lot of them, it was just work in progress, and you kind of worry about, they'll get to the point where a game's 9% finished and decide, nah, we don't want to do this, and they cut it.
Well, in the past, they have had a.
I want to see dates from Riot Games. I want to see names and dates.
I do too. There has been 1 or 2 games that they've talked about and have been in development, but nothing. And then they've, canceled them. Like there was they had at the time were developing a Teemo based game, which is this little tiny like Ewok creature that hides in a
blow dart.
With a blow dart gun, and it was like a little adventure game in the jungle or whatever. I can't remember what the jungle there is called, but that game got canceled. There was another one that they had that was like a stealth based game. That one got canceled as well. But nothing has come because they didn't even have like concept art for those when they were talking about them. These games have like full on like proof of concept working in engine type games,
Right.
So I think this year I know that because the new league season just started like a week ago.
Is Caitlyn still good?
Caitlyn is broken.
All right, perfect. That's what I like
she's
to hear.
Real good. But they did say in their last dev blog that they are planning on talking more about the games that are in development. And they also brought out some I can't remember what the fuck it's called. It's called like a League of Legends Forge or something like that, where people can actually get a hold of their game engine that they're using and create games in this universe as well. And then they'll kind of like curate through that as well. So I mean, we'll see what happens for the next year, but as of last year, man, they came out one day and just blew my fucking socks off. So
right,
yeah. For mine, I got to say Nintendo. Nintendo's come a big way this year with the release of Pokemon, with bringing games that I never thought I would see on a handheld console like The Witcher, like Wolfenstein,
Skyrim.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. I mean, I never,
Doom.
Doom. Never saw them being this aggressive with their content. Divinity Original Sin 2 came out on it. I've been playing the crap out of it. I mean, fantastic games that were generally either relegated to PC or console. Their release calendar is just fantastic, and they're still putting out their own brand stuff that is still doing quite well.
It feels like Nintendo always was geared towards the younger crowd with handheld gaming and everything, and the games in general. It now feels like they're trying to scoop in that next demographic. Being like young adults, even middle-aged adults, where they realize people do want to have a home console like the Switch, but they also, with the Switch, want to have that portability of, I'm going on vacation, I want to take it on the plane. But I want to play something other than Pokemon or Mario, and so you can play these AAA titles and have a good time with it on the go. So,
and they do well
Hey,
with
third parties are back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they're doing
That's
it well
the-
with that, just pulling the third parties in for that content too, and saving their own titles to just to be for the handheld mostly.
Right.
Yeah, I think the way they've set it up, I mean, they're not taking a lot of risk. They're pulling in good numbers of these games, these more in depth, deeper games for adults. It's really good job on their part.
Nintendo's
fix
kind
their
of under
store.
the radar a little bit. Like I said, scooping in that next demographic. Pretty soon, you're going to see everyone being like, "Yeah, Nintendo's the way to go."
Yeah.
You can't
Especially if they
get
bring on a pro console.
Mm-hmm.
right. Some Switch Elite or something, but
Yeah,
Switch Pro.
They've got to fix the store on the Switch. That is the worst store
It's awful.
I've ever used.
You can't even search by developer. Like you can't.
No,
search
it's
on
a
anything.
nightmare.
It sucks.
If it's not on the home page there, it's like, good luck.
Yeah.
That's UI in games. Really, online services UI has never been Nintendo's forte.
Mm-hmm.
That's an area they need to improve in 2020.
Absolutely.
Yep. But shoot, just to reflect like what you're saying, Adam. The indie titles that are out on Nintendo is spectacular. Like anything that comes out indie wise, they pretty much always end up on the Switch, and everyone just applauds them for that, for having so many indie games. But that's also, to Robot's point, it's really bad too, because you can't search for indie titles specifically on the store unless they're featured, which really sucks. So it's like, if you don't know about an indie title, you just want to browse through the store, you got to browse through all the games that everyone already knows about to find those unknowns, which kind of sucks. But yeah,
You can't even find first-party titles sometimes. That's
Unless
so
it's
they're
the most
not
popular ones. Yeah, you can't find shit.
right. They're not discriminating. Just be clear. It's a mess.
Yep.
And they do a really good job with their press conferences too. The Nintendo Direct.
Nintendo Directs.
Yeah, they're fantastic. I like how
They're like every month or two, and yeah, they're always, anytime that happens, it might be early in the morning in the middle of the fucking work week, but shit, you can just catch it on YouTube for 20-30 minutes, and they've got so much content in every single one of them.
They really do. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Killing it.
Solid, since you're there, what about your game of the year?
Ooh boy. All right. So when I said the game of the year, Adam did bring up the point that this did come out a few years ago in early access, but this was the year that it finally 2019 was the year it was finally fully released. But my game of the year is gonna be Slay the Spire. It's a card game that I have put hundreds of hours into and trying to beat. I mean, the game is just infinitely replayable. It's a roguelite, well, strictly roguelike card deck building game on pretty much every single system that you can find. PC, Switch, Xbox, PlayStation 4, hopefully coming to mobile soon. I know that they've been talking about trying to get a port to mobile. But it's fantastic. And in a year, 2019 was kind of a weird year for games because we didn't have anything that was like balls to the wall. This is for sure the game of the year. I mean, Control picked up, I know, game of the year at a lot of different outlets, and it was one of the last games that was released like in this last 2019 year. So, but yes, for me, Slay the Spire, I'm always kind of an indie. I always kind of pick indie games, anyways. They're kind of like my forte. So, Slay the Spire is the one that did it for me.
Cool. Robot, what you got?
So you mentioned a lot of outlets picked Control, and I kind of went with it. But the reason I would pick Control for Game of the Year is the use of RTX. So I think RTX is everybody's familiar with it. It's shader technology, but it's kind of the future of graphics, and NVIDIA was the first to support it. Hardware wise, I think you'll see more cards. AMD support it with hardware, and we'll see RTX show up in games more and more over the course of the year. So I would almost argue that I'm picking the technology in the game versus the content of the game. I like Control. I like the story. I like the gameplay. I like the powers. It was a fun single player game to play through, and I'd like to see more single player games. Yeah. But damn, with RTX on, that is a beautiful game.
It's phenomenal.
And a lot of other games tried to use RTX. Even when it was finally patched in Battlefield, it was so-so.
Yeah.
But Control really was the first game that I saw like, aha, this is what RTX is. This is why it's cool. And even turning it off and on and kind of playing through the same areas. Really interesting use of the technology. And I like Remedy. I like the stories they tell. I like the games that they have. And this was a good one.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fantastic game. It's
When it comes to Game Pass, when it comes to Game Pass, I will be playing it.
Yeah. How about you, King? What was your game of the year?
My game of the year was Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice.
Okay.
I picked that because of the lineage of From Software and Activision, just the whole Bloodborne series. So, I mean, I see this game as another kind of multi-tiered, multi-series kind of game where you're going to have sequels. You're going to have games where it's just really immersive. The combat, it's not a hand-holding game at all. It's one that you're either good at or you need to get better at. And that's from like the first battle you do. Like you can beat the first fight, but it's nearly impossible. And after that, it's a steep ramp in terms of skill level. And I like games like that. I'm a fan of like the Bloodborne series, where you actually have to be good at the game, and it rewards you for being good. In Sekiro, you get upgrades to your arm. It's a good mechanic there. The grappling hook mechanic's really cool. So it's just a good overall game.
Have you seen the speed run for it?
Yes.
Holy shit!
Yeah. When you're swimming outside the map and through the air, it's ridiculous.
It's insane, dude.
I like that they didn't just copy paste either the mechanics in Bloodborne, and I'm going blank with their other game, Dark Souls, Demon Souls. Yeah. I like that it's in the same vein, but it's different. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to dodge your way through the game in that one. You really have to lean into that parry mechanic.
Yep.
So if I remember right, the same company is making a Game of Thrones game. Is that correct?
I haven't heard anything about that.
Okay, so I'm fairly certain of this, but that's another game that studio has on the way.
Software Game of Thrones? What?
In the Game of Thrones world, yeah.
The parry mechanic, like Dark Souls was all about dodging. That was the
dodging,
big thing.
Right.
That was the big one. And I like the aesthetic of the medieval kind of fantasy Dark Soul, but the whole Japanese samurai style with Sekiro is just really cool. I like that aesthetic more. The whole Japanese temple and the enemies that are there. You kind of nailed it. You can dodge in that game, but it's not effective. There's going to be enemies that punish you for that.
Right.
And so you have to alter your skill set. I've seen Dark Soul players that run Sekiro and they're not nearly as effective. So
this
it's not a game of
Elden Ring.
Yeah, Elden Ring. It's not Game of Thrones. It's just written JR.
Oh, okay. I thought it was set in the same universe.
No,
I knew he was involved. Yeah.
So he's involved. It's just the story's all going to be from him, and classic Dark Souls. They're saying, but
nice.
I think they're done making Dark Souls. I'm not sure, but I think that Elden Ring is going to be the next series that they do. Which I want them to make Bloodborne 2.
Bloodborne 2, yeah.
But
that's my favorite
the first one. But I just I really like Eldritch horror stuff. It's like my favorite genre of that type of stuff. Cthulhu, and watching people play Bloodborne was just fucking awesome. So,
what's your game, Solid? What's your game of the year?
We already went over mine.
Yep, we did.
Oh yeah. Sorry, down to me.
Robots there.
It's now Adam's turn
to
tell us what is your pick for the game of the year.
My pick for game of the year is Disco Elysium.
Yeah,
this game, it's a narrative sort of style. It's based around this sort of loose investigation of a murder, but the depth of the game is more like when I was a kid reading those Choose Your Own Adventure books. Where every decision matters. And you're not just playing the game; you're changing your inner voice as you're playing it, and so. As you're talking to yourself, you're developing skills and building up certain personality traits that are happening internally with these voices that you're kind of fighting with as you speak to and interact with people in the game. It's a really neat take on it, and the graphics are to me fantastic. I like that sort of 3/4 down look, the way they've got it there, and the splash screens when you're having to make those decisions, what personality trait you're going to fix are pretty kind of demented and cool. It's just a really well done game. I think it didn't get a lot of credit. I only saw a couple outlets that picked it for Game of the Year. I just think it flew under the radar pretty, probably because of a terrible game trailer they had. Their hype for it and promos were awful, but man, it is a fantastic game. So that's definitely my number one of the year.
It reminds me of a Fear and Loathing Choose Your Own Adventure.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It is. It's like if you made a video game about Hunter S. Thompson as a as a detective. You're right. I haven't played all the way through it, but I'm getting pretty far into it, and it is a mind bender. It's hard to describe, but it preys upon. You can be a pretty depraved individual in that game, more so than in any game I've ever played before. Yeah. I think it explores your own morality. Games typically are pretty binary of I'm going to do the bad choice or the good choice, and this is not this is a whole color palette of emotions and characteristics that you can choose from. And yes, you can do some pretty depraved stuff in it, but yeah, I'd agree. It's a great game.
Now,
I definitely need to pick it up yet.
For the worst of the year. So, yeah, this will be a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually more excited about this than anything. What have you got for your event, Robot?
So I'm gonna. It's not a. It will be interesting if this is called an event, but the surprise mechanics fiasco. So EA, and this was earlier in the year. Countries now are starting to ban or attempt to ban loot boxes, and the UK Parliament held. A committee meeting on surprise mechanics. So a attorney from EA came to defend EA and their practice of the use of surprise mechanics. And I think they get more of the brunt than anybody else on this. But when the attorney was posed the question of, do you think loot boxes are ethical? Her response was, we don't call them loot boxes, we call them surprise mechanics. And everybody loves surprises. And I agree. I like surprises too.
I like surprises.
And she likened them to the toys, like the surprise eggs or opening a pack of baseball cards, which was really kind of an interesting parallel to draw.
I can see the relation though. I
do too.
It's a good
blind box.
So right? It is.
That's the best way you could have handled that as a developer. It's still shitty, but
everyone laughs at it. But yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, I guess it's a pack of baseball cards. You're right.
So EA did their best to defend selling gambling to kids. Mm-hmm. We'll see where this goes. I don't think. I think eventually loot boxes will be 18 and under, or 18 and over, or something.
Yeah, how do you limit that though?
Yeah, you can't make that happen.
But that was a comical moment.
Yeah.
Yikes. It's been around forever.
Surprise event.
From Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering. I mean, it's baseball cards, everything. It's just always there.
Sure.
Well, and that's the thing too, is like kids can go to store and spend $5 on a pack of Pokemon cards. That's literally the same thing. Yeah. So I understand I totally understand where they're coming from.
That's what I mean. That's a good defense.
That's the best way I've ever heard it put, honestly.
Yeah.
Like a pack of baseball cards. It really is, except these are digital and you can't actually own them.
Yeah, and it's like, talk about a carrot on a stick. This is just, it's in there and you know how much you have to spend to get it. So it's like.
So the fundamental difference, I would argue, is can a kid go to a convenience store and spend $5,000 on Pokemon cards?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Well,
there's a gatekeeper in that, though. Yes. I mean, realistically, a 9-year-old shows up.
You can't take your mom's credit card and say.
Yeah, right. But if
there is a gatekeeper, it's called being a parent and watching what your kids are doing online. Hey.
But in FIFA, EA doesn't care how many times or how many player packs that you buy. That, to me, that's the fundamental difference. Mm-hmm. But
what if they implemented like a lockout? Like you could only buy 5 packs per week or something?
Oh, there'd be riots. Because there's that 1 in 10,000 chance, like the that fucking dagger in Apex.
Here it comes.
How
That's
much
mine.
money people had to spend? I mean, oof.
Yeah, you're not gonna. I don't see them ever limiting this.
Yeah,
it's not gonna happen.
It makes too much money. It's the only legal form of gambling that everyone in the world can do.
Yeah.
They're never going to go away.
What you got, King?
So mine goes kind of hand in hand with the surprise mechanics. The developer Respawn put out Apex Legends. Great game. It's free to play. It's a battle royale. It's super popular. Had its peak popularity. It's kind of settled a little bit now. But like Solid mentioned, there were items in that game that were heirloom items. They were super rare items. Very, very 1 in 5,000 drop chance. That were things that you could buy for premium currency to get loot boxes. They're little diamond spiders that you could unlock. Anyways, someone did a comparison or a test there to guarantee that you were going to get that heirloom item. You had to spend a minimum of $500 real dollars on those packs to guarantee that drop. Because after that $500, you bought everything in the game. It averaged around $300 to $400 for people to get that item. Wow. Unless you're super lucky and got on your first chest or whatever. So people were going online and saying, this is bullshit. This is, gatekeeping. This is just a monetary paywall that I have to cross to get this legendary or heirloom item. And one of the devs from Respawn went to Reddit and said, you all are asshats. You all are freeloaders. It's a free-to-play game. And if you want this, you need to spend money. And people lost their minds because developers are not supposed to talk to players like that. And which I agree to a point. It's. I don't go to a Lamborghini dealership and bitch that I can't afford a Lamborghini because I just can't afford it. Whereas I don't see that players have the right to bitch to a developer because their highest tier rarity item is unattainable on their first loot box. It's kind of the same thing. But going out and calling your fans, your customers, asshats, quoted, asshats, and freeloaders, totally unacceptable. That's an HR nightmare. You just can't do it as a developer. And a lot, they released an apology. They, redacted that statement, but all in all, at the end of the day, the consumers are the ones that are paying your bills, and you need to at least be like, yeah, I know it's a lot of money, but it's a top tier item. You can't call them an asset, and you can't call them a freeloader. So that would probably be like a worst moment of the year for me.
And at that moment, EA's future is kind of determined. Like there was not a lot of good going on at EA, and they're like, just call people assets. Oh, fantastic! Yeah. That's great, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah, freeloaders.
Solid. What you got?
All right. So for my worst, well, it comes down to my hate for fucking Activision, basically. It's not Activision specifically, but it is what they did with Modern Warfare when they came out with it. Gatekeeping Spec Ops mode behind PlayStation, which is a third of the fucking game, and still charging everyone $60 for it. Yep. What the fuck? Like, are you serious? So they straight up came out and said, hey, the Spec Ops mode that everyone has been clamoring for and fucking want since, I think, Modern Warfare 3 was the last time that they had it. We're gonna put this behind a huge paywall, which is you have to own PlayStation 4 PlayStation 4. You have to have the game, and you have to pay for online. Mm-hmm. You have to have all these things in order to play this one mode, and it's egregious. It's completely ridiculous. If I buy the game on PC, it's $60, and there's an entire third of the game I can't play now until fall of this year now, 2020. Yeah. Like, what the fuck? I mean, we can talk about EA and their loot box and their surprise mechanics and all that other crazy shit, but goddamn, they're locking literally millions of people out of a single event because of they don't own a PlayStation.
Yeah, well, I mean, Activision has always done this with Call of Duty with the maps, with the exclusive.
They have, but not for an entire fucking year.
Right.
Map.
A month.
A month is the longest I would go on any of this.
Like, because with zombies, so Black Ops 4, when zombies came out, the new zombies map would come out only on PlayStation, right?
Right.
But it was only for 30 days,
Right.
which is fine. I can understand that. They did that with Xbox constantly. I would be playing my shit a month before my friends on PlayStation were playing theirs, in which, I got to poke fun at them. But a year?
Yeah, that's too much.
A year is that's when the next Call of Duty comes out. No one's
Right.
gonna be playing that anymore. Nobody cares.
What I think is an interesting part to this is at one point in time, maybe a console generation ago, that was actually a deciding factor. PC wasn't as big.
Yeah.
You had to pick between the two. Having something for a month could sway a person whether they bought one console or the other. Do you think now it's more of a hindrance?
Yes.
Does it foster so much ill will, like with Epic? There's some people hate Epic and refuse to do anything on the Epic store because of their exclusive policies. And,
Yeah, look at Borderlands. People
and
refuse to play
Sony-
Borderlands 3 because it's on the Epic launcher. They're waiting till it's on Steam.
So is Sony? I almost see this as negative PR for Sony, just as much as it is for Activision.
Absolutely. I think when this came out and this happened, kept talking about it. Going through the comments and stuff, there were so many people that were like, well, it looks like I'm never buying a Call of Duty again. Fuck PlayStation. I'm never buying a PlayStation. Hey, Xbox, here I come. There was a lot of stuff going on that online, because you couldn't even play the game on PC and play this one mode. That a lot of the big time streamers don't want to play on a PlayStation to play this mode, and they wanted to play this mode. So a lot of them just said, "Fuck the game, we're not playing it."
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that happened. So in the wrap up of the worst of the year stuff, the events. I mean, we had. You spoke about Riot Games. Well, they had their own little trouble there with the sexism and everybody getting fired.
It's been going on for a long time.
It has. You've got Blizzard with their Hong Kong censoring, right, and the 1,000-year ban on commenters,
1,000-year ban.
Blocking people from deleting their accounts afterwards, so that it didn't look like they were losing members. The fiasco that was Anthem, the violent video games for the blame for El Paso shooting, where Walmart took down all the ads in the store, but kept selling guns, of course. Respawn, like you talked about. For mine, it's got to be this whole game store exclusivity. I mean, it kind of leads into yours, Solid. These launchers, as good as I felt about Star Wars being the best series and moving that over to Steam was part of that, where they released it directly. A bigger part that's going on now is the Epic exclusivity, the Rockstar Games launcher now, GOG for Witcher, all these different companies now have their own exclusives in these apps that we now have to load in and keep going, and and all the things with Epic, people worried about losing their data and not being having their cloud saves, everything else that was going on through all that stuff. And having this sort of metric come into 2019, we've had it along with Origin and stuff like that, but this is a new territory. I think this is where they're going now. It seems like every developer is now going to have their own window to make the most profits for their games, and I fucking hate it. I can't stand having that Rockstar launcher, updating, and then my Epic Games, then my BattleNet, and it's really just it's overkill.
So at some point in time, I see somebody releasing maybe an open source launcher of launchers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a front end that all the launchers hide in the back end, but
and they update on their own.
The thing that it bothers me the most about I want developers to make money.
Right.
I think a 30% take or whatever the take for Steam is frankly too much. If you're not running on their servers and it's literally in their store, that's a business thing that, especially with indie developers, that needs to be worked out. It's when the launcher is so feature poor. That's the stuff that bugs me. Like the lack of cloud saves on Epic is completely inexcusable. If you can go out and secure all these exclusive deals with games, you probably should get your launcher in order first.
Yeah. All right, that moves us on to the series. What's the worst series of the year, Solid?
Kind of goes back to my best of Pokemon.
Best and worst.
Best and worst, and for good reason. Yes, they did come out with a new game on the home console, and I am so pleased with that. But okay, so Game Freak is a very small company compared to a lot of game companies. There's only roughly 200 to 300 people that work there. And when it comes to big AAA gaming, I mean, that's a very small company. And they're not all working on Pokemon. It's like only a third of them are working on Pokemon. So the reason it came in for worst, not all the Pokemon are in the fucking game. I understand. I am one of the people that say, who gives a fuck? There's too many Pokemon anyways. But for a lot of people, that was a big thing. That was a whole reason they didn't buy the game.
Dexit.
Dexit, yeah. Dexit was the thing. I think there's only like 500 or 600 Pokemon currently in the game out of the thousands that you can get. That's still a lot of Pokemon, but yeah, there's a lot of favorites that aren't there. Venusaur, Blastoise. I don't even think Dragonite's in there. There's so many Pokemon that aren't in the game. And yes, they are going to fix it now with DLC coming out in the next year. But that's still a pretty shitty thing when you make as much money as you do from Pokemon. I understand the Pokemon Company and Game Freak are separate entities as well as Nintendo. But holy shit, your company has a lot of money. Fucking pay more people, get bigger studio. The animations for all the Pokemon are literally recycled animations from the 3DS games. There's maybe a couple new ones in there, but they're all exactly like, Tackle's the same, Tail Whip is the same, Hyper Beam is the same, Flamethrower is the same, Fire Blast is the same. They're all the exact same animations. Most of the Pokemon that are in this game that were from the last generation, exactly the same animations, exactly the same sounds. They didn't update any of the sounds. They didn't update like basically anything. They just kind of up-resed their character models from the 360p that the DS was up to, I think, 1080 and 720. I mean, the lack of endgame content really in Pokemon is a big reason I stopped playing. I mean, yes, there is a ton to do with your friends, and there's constantly new raids and stuff coming out. But where's the rest of the endgame content? This game should be huge.
It's Battle Tower, man. That's it.
They've had Battle Tower and Battle Tower since fucking Sapphire. Give me like Gold and Silver is the only Pokemon game where you
breeding perfect IV Pokemons. That's the end game.
Yeah, really
Gold and Silver is the only Pokemon game you can go to another region and say, "Hey, I'm gonna come dominate all these gyms as well."
Yep.
Where is that? Like, why can't I go to another region?
Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon was great in terms of endgame.
Endgame was awesome in that game. Yeah. But like, where the fuck is it? And I understand they are doing DLC, so there is another part to the end game now. But where is it in the original game? This game, like I said, first home console game should have been bigger. First home console game, everything should have looked real crisp.
$60 game.
Yeah. $60 game. Yeah,
it's not a $15 game. This is a $60 game.
Well, $30. It used to be 30, or I think maybe 40.
The cartridges.
Yeah. So when they did Endgame, or they brought out like a new version, like Sun and Moon came out and it was $40, and then Ultra Sun and Moon came out and that was $40. So that's $80, right? If you want to play the two games, you got to play it over again on Ultra Sun and Moon to get to that new content. But now they have, the DLC, which I understand is, it's $30, so it's gonna be, you're pushing $100 now for playing Pokemon.
Yep.
And I understand you can bring your save file with you in your Pokemon. Jesus Christ, it's just been egregious. Like I said, I just very disappointed that Game Freak couldn't do it, and I understand it is their first big Switch game. It's their first one. But if in my stance, if the next Pokemon game isn't leagues better than this one, I feel like Pokemon is just really gonna.
You're still gonna play it.
I mean, I'm still gonna play it, yeah, but it's gonna lose a lot of their support from the older generation like us.
Yeah.
They're gonna lose a lot of them. There's already a lot of people that are already like, "Fuck Pokemon, I'm done." And now that Temtem is out,
till they launch it.
Right, till they launch it, exactly.
They're still gonna buy. Yeah, they might still buy the game, but the support for it, like on Twitch, the support for it on Twitter and in the internet is still gonna be. It's not gonna be there.
Yeah, the Twitch viewership fell off pretty hard.
It did. It's probably one of the worst streamed Pokemon games in a while. Yeah. And I mean, coming from King, like you were saying, your daughter's getting into it now. Who's to say that the next Pokemon game comes out? It's shit. That's a whole generation of people that aren't going to buy Pokemon for their kids. They're going to say, "No, you don't need to play that. Let's play something else." And then you just start losing out on people like that. Pokemon for me, honestly, is a nostalgia. I've grown up with it my entire life, pretty much. I was like 10 years old, so I've kind of always just had it. So it's always going to be there for me. But I'm not going to tell my kid, "Yeah, you got to play this. It's awesome," because it's just a shit. Yeah.
Robot, what you got for the worst series of the year?
So not a game, but Game of Thrones. It is a game, not a video game. I don't think I've ever been so disappointed by the finale, or at least the run up to a finale of a series that I enjoyed so much. And I'd read the books before that, and I'm still kind of holding out hope that that the books salvage that story. But yeah, that was a tragedy to watch that unfold. Yeah. As far as the cinematic universe, if you will, the look of the game, the series, the epic battles and the dragons. I mean, maybe best looking TV show ever.
Yeah.
From a CGI and effects and battles and all that kind of stuff. Amazing. You could tell that someone other than George R.R. Martin was writing the story.
Yeah, you can pick the moment where all the writers
and that they got the wrap it up signal.
Yeah, exactly.
Kill him now, kill him.
Yeah.
So for
all these people,
I know for me it with Game of Thrones, I kind of feel similarly, where I was like, what, like why was this wrap up so? Why did you have to wrap this up now? Why couldn't you do one more season? I understand it's money, but for me personally, it was too fast. I don't know about you guys. I thought the story, I know the story is going to be there when the books come out. I know that they're going to redo Game of Thrones at some point as another TV series, and they're going to do it fully based on the books. But for you guys, was it too quick? Because that's the only reason I have problems with Game of Thrones.
For me, it was bad storytelling. Not only was it too fast, there were just really stupid Hollywood cinematics that weren't ever there in the series. When was Arya came in the one white horse in the town. I'm like, fuck you, Hollywood. Don't fucking do this to me. You've not done this all this time. You've actually had good content with good stories, and now you're having like symbolism of a white horse running down Ashen streets, and of course she gets on it and rides to safety. Like, fuck off. Also, llama out of nowhere, right? Arya comes and kills, the Winter King, the White King. Like, just okay. Where was she before that? Was she anywhere? Like, like she is sitting at the edge of the gate, or here she is, fuck. It was so just rushed and pushed, like you said, with that. But the story quality of it just fell off, super flat. And don't even get started with the last scene. I mean melting the Iron Throne.
Why do you think I came all this?
Yes.
Melting the Iron Throne and John. Oh fuck. And also, how much of a dick they made Bran. Like, like, hey, I'm in the whole time.
I think Bran is the best character of the whole series because he's such a dick now.
Don't give me feelings about Hodor, then tell me that he was just fucking with us the whole time, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
So, yeah.
I'm excited for the books to come out. I'm excited to see the inner workings of people's minds as they're going through these events.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see that all happen, and I fucking hope to God it happens before I die. I mean, like, or before George R. R. Martin dies, anyways, because like that dude is pushing. He's like 80 years old. he's morbidly obese. Like, he's going to die of a heart attack soon.
Yeah.
Like, that dude just needs to stop doing other shit and just fucking write the books. It needs to happen.
So the book is really close, apparently, and there's a couple of people that work closely with him that have been editing his books and built world building for him. So that's the thing that all the fans kind of can hang their hat on, is that even if he, dies in a car accident, there's a couple people that know how to finish what he's got.
He's got a backup.
Well, like Robert Jordan with the Wheel of Time series, that's a book epic series that he died before the last, I think, 3 books were done. And his son had to pick it up and finish it for him. And I think it really suffered. The last couple books suffered because of it. But
that's expected, though. My worst series of 2019 has to be Fallout. Now, Fallout, like Slay the Spire, Fallout 76 came out in 2018, but in 2019, they offered a subscription service so that you could have private servers. You could pay a fee to the game you already paid just so you can play the game exactly as it is, but without people hacking you. The problem is that when they had these private servers, they would go in and every NPC would have been looted already, and they were stuck in that mode. They didn't reset in any sort of way. So once somebody came through and took all the stuff was gone. Fallout. The battle royale part of that with Fallout 76, the whole the
it had such promise. That looks so cool.
It looks so good.
I know.
It makes sense.
Fallout, but make it multiplayer,
exactly
real world,
open world multiplayer Fallout.
Yeah.
Come on, that's a dream. I mean, that is the absolute dream in gaming. The first RPG.
How cool would it have been you and 3 other people going to kill this huge Deathclaw with mini Fat Man launchers, and it's such potential.
Or how about other warriors over there coming up on you and trying to take it, take the stuff from you as you're fighting them. Come on.
Right.
Fantastic. I guess we kind of should have seen this coming. Elder Scrolls did their whole multiplayer thing. And the Elder Scrolls Online, while it is a fun MMO, it is not Elder Scrolls.
No.
It's the same thing with Fallout. It is not Fallout.
Mm-mm. No,
Fallout is worse. It's just so bad.
They
exponentially worse.
Yeah, exponentially worse.
They've really screwed up. I don't know if they're going to come back from this either. I don't know that we'll see another Fallout game for a very long time.
Bethesda has some work to do.
Yeah, in a big way.
They have some engine work too.
Yes.
They've been hanging on to the same engine forever, and it shows compared to
Unreal
Engine
open worlds.
Game too. I mean, I played a lot of Fallout 76, and it's just bad. The glitches, the bugs. I mean, everything's just terrible.
Yeah.
Faceless people coming up to you, and you're like, oh, God damn.
People's everywhere.
Yeah.
Graphics failure. Oh, man. King, what do you got for worst series?
Okay, so buckle up. The worst series goes hand in hand with my worst game, but the worst series of this year, of last year, of every year of gaming are the 2K games. I am so sick of the popularity 2K games have, because it's so undeserved. People will buy 2K, NBA 2K, whatever. People will buy any 2K game that goes out, always sells, but it's the same game every year. They'll introduce new modes, but it's the same game, and they get away with the most bullshit things. Talk about loot boxes, talk about bad graphics, talk about just overall bad playability. The 2K games are just recycled garbage games every year, and I'm tired of 2K games.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to dive into that a little bit.
When you play a basketball game and the guy, looks up with their face, and they just.
Well,
we're just standing there.
Can someone screenshot that, please? I need that GIF for later. No, but like NBA 2K, whatever, 2K20, you pull up for a jump shot, the ball goes, and then your player goes. It's like seconds later that he does it, the animation. It's just bad, and people are like, "Oh, cool game, yeah, it's fucking NBA 2K20, yeah," and I'm like, just get over yourself.
Yeah.
Part of that goes back to
2K was broken, wasn't it?
They need to take a few years off and just build a good game, because
that game is.
It's I can't blame them 100%, because how hard is it to come out with a new game literally every year? It's not a 2K game unless there's a 2K21, and a 2K22. You need to have it every year, and it's of course they're going to reuse some assets, but it's like,
there's been nothing new in these games.
Come on. Yeah,
for years.
You know,
the problem, and it's not just 2K. The problem with sports games is they shouldn't be annualized.
It's bad.
It should be a platform that is updated each year.
Your hands are tied. You know, it's all they do every year is maybe introduce a new game mode and update the rosters. So
that's not a whole game. Yeah,
no, it's not.
It's not worth spending
It's a DLC.
$100 every single year on the same fucking thing.
There's a fucking DLC for roster updates.
I don't know how they haven't just said, "Hey, we're gonna make one game for this, this next 5 years, and we're just gonna update it every year." They can add those new game modes directly into the game. Maybe even charge every year, like a year pass, like a season pass, right? Oh, hey, you want to play this year's content with the new rosters,
right,
new stuff? Give us $20. I mean, like it would make it so that they don't have burnout in their studio. Their creative burnout wouldn't happen, and they would actually be able to put out a decent, functional game every single year.
Well, it's wrapped in its own hype. I mean, you've got the hype for the box cover every year, right? Like, who's going to be on the cover of the next Madden? Who's going to be on the cover of the next 2K?
Well, and the Madden curse, and it's like
there's so much going on.
I'm so sick of annual sports games.
Yeah. I've been sick of them since I was in college, dude. It's done.
Yeah. 2K gets the brunt of it, but like Madden's kind of the same way.
It's exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Too bad.
The whole like paying players at the college level problem they had with the NCAA games. At least when they got rid of that franchise, they were just starting to kick into where you could pull your characters from one into Madden. So you could assign your character from your college game and roll it into Madden. That was pretty fun.
That's kind of cool.
Well,
yeah.
That ended with litigation.
Sports games were more feature rich in the early 2000s than they are now.
I'd like to see. Crazy. Why not bring back like NFL Blitz or like interesting sports games. Like I want to play, or like NBA Street. Or like, just cool games, arcade kind of sports games.
I would kill for NBA Street Volume 3. I would literally murder somebody.
Can you imagine LeBron James doing like these power dunk from half court?
So someone tried that. There was there was somebody that took a stab at that series, but the game is pretty horrible. Kind of the cartoon 3-on-3.
What was it called? It was called like
it was bad. Yeah, I don't remember either.
I think it was called Blitz Bowl or something, and then it's like all those monsters playing football.
But that was a real-time strategy football.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Yeah, Death Original says the only annual sports games he wants are college basketball and football. Yeah, I mean, so you can see your college players come up through through the years, and it makes
not even annualized. Like I said, just make a fucking platform that you update every single year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rotate like you're rotating essentially entire rosters in and out.
Right.
Like that would be so easy to do.
Just improve the game.
Yeah. All you have to do is just pull this guy up, make him a little wider, put his number on. All right, done. Stats done. I mean, that'd be so easy to do for them, and it would cost so much less money. And like I said, fuck serialized sports games. God damn.
That's why I said buckle up. That's a soft spot for me right there.
Shit, here we go again.
Well, solid while you're passionate. Tell us about the worst gaming company for the year.
Oh my fucking god! All right, so I'm going with Bethesda. I love Bethesda. Jesus Christ, Fallout 76, fucking Elder Scrolls Blades. I mean, everything that they did in 2019 was just shit.
Yep.
They just shit, everything. I can't even say one. I love Bethesda so much. They're like one of my favorite gaming companies that there is. But fuck, dude. What?
Shit the bed,
what are you thinking, Todd Howard? We don't need Skyrim on Alexa or on fucking everything. Okay, we want a new goddamn game in Elder Scrolls. Like. They're working on a bunch of stuff right now.
Starfield is one of them.
Starfield.
I'm excited for that.
They're working on the next Elder Scrolls.
Probably shouldn't be.
Probably the next fucking Fallout. But Jesus Christ. And then they pushed back. I mean, I understand this is id at Bethesda, but they pushed back Doom, which I've been fucking hyped for all year. I'm kind of glad
looks great.
It looks awesome. I've heard nothing but awesome things from people that have played it. I'm kind of glad that they did, because whenever games get delayed, it means that they really needed to do so. I'm glad they did. But
I'd rather see a game delayed than pushed out.
Pushed out, yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. And anytime a game is delayed, it usually means that it needed to. Like, I mean, Zelda Breath of the Wild was delayed for like 4 years. Yeah. I just kept saying like, all right. I'll wait. And it finally came out and it was amazing. So, but yeah, Bethesda, they have just been nothing but fucking shit.
So there is a rumor floating around, and I don't want to take us too far off, that Microsoft still has an appetite to acquire game studios.
Oh, yeah.
And ZeniMax is apparent, or at least rumored to be on their list. And ZeniMax, what gives this some credence is ZeniMax has been interested in selling.
Yep.
So think about that. Bethesda, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
They're all under the ZeniMax banner.
Yep.
I mean,
if Microsoft acquired those, holy shit.
Mine was the same. Solid. My worst game company is Bethesda. You forgot about, or maybe just forgot to mention, moldy helmets on the limited.
Oh God!
You remember
duffel bags,
the canvas
the
duffel.
The real in-game, the in life,
the physical.
Jesus.
The plastic rum bottle.
Those bags that they're saying are like $120 bags are like
crap.
$5 Walmart bags.
Yeah, that's what you buy at the Walmart, just to save on plastic and paper.
Yeah. God.
Let's not forget about Wolfenstein Youngblood, which
I
hate. I played that game. I tried playing that game for.
That was the tragedy.
Oh, it's bad, man. It is so bad. Rage 2.
Oh my God, yeah, Rage. Okay, Rage 2 looked awesome.
Yeah,
but Jesus Christ, what a fucking shit show.
Empty world. Shooting felt okay. Powers felt okay. Really repetitive.
There's just it's the same thing every 5 minutes. Nothing in the game. That was the same thing what Rage 1 was. Rage 1 was this huge, awesome, open, pretty game with nothing in it. It was just it literally was a desert.
Rage 2 was Rage 1, now with colors.
Yeah. Now with some pink.
Put pink in it. And we got Andrew WK.
And we got Andrew WK on. Thanks, guys.
The other thing is that with Bethesda, like one of the coolest games that we watched at E3, right? We were watching the coverage for E3 was Ghostwire Tokyo. Creative director, gone.
Yeah,
she left. It's not looking good for Bethesda. I mean, they're in a bad way right now.
Yeah, they are, and they've always been so good.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the Fallout 76. Them trying to constantly go, okay, guys, hold on, just let us fix it. Yeah, and then they just kept digging themselves. We're just gonna keep digging this hole. Oh shit, there's lava. Just keep digging through the lava, guys. We're gonna keep.
It's gonna get better at some point.
Hopefully, they hit that diamond layer soon, because fuck me, dude.
Was that a Minecraft reference?
That might have been.
So I'll throw out a what if for Bethesda. 2020, Microsoft buys Bethesda and puts Obsidian over making the next Fallout game.
Oh God, let's go.
We could do that.
But then that means we don't get another Outer Worlds.
I know, that would be the tragedy. That would be the tragedy. Yeah.
All right. What do you think, Robot? What was your worst company of the year?
So worst game company is just kind of wandered into gaming, but I think it might be the worst introduction to gaming. Google. Google and Google Stadia.
Stadia.
Wow. I don't even know where to start with Google Stadia. I was one of the suckers that bought the controller. $100 controller to play games that don't work. I have literally tried that on every quality of internet. I've tried it in big cities where I thought I would be closer to a Google server. There's really no set of circumstances where I can get Stadia to feel
the concept sounds
like a game, like a playable game. Yeah,
like you can't just go. The technology to go on YouTube, see a game, play it right from there is just like it's too much.
Maybe one day.
It sucks because their alpha and beta testing for it was so good. Like it worked like flawless.
Yeah,
Assassin's Creed Odyssey was running in literal 1080p, 60 frames a second on Chromebook. Like I was playing this shit constantly on a Chromebook. And then for Google Stadia to come out and just
Destiny 2.
So just think about all the broken promises. There's issues with certain phones. That was the big thing of being able to play a game on your phone.
Yeah.
In order to play with the controller on the phone, you have to tether it to the phone. It won't play over Bluetooth. You can't use the controller for anything else.
That's so dumb.
Well, the controller, even if you hardwire your Chromecast that the Google Stadia plays on, even if you hardwire that, you still have to Wi-Fi the controller.
Yeah, what the fuck?
The Chromecasts that they sent out, the Chromecast Ultras, are having overheating problems. People are having to send them back for that purpose. And Chromecast on its own might be the dumbest TV device ever. The fact that it has no menus and you can't play stuff directly from it, it's a problem all the way top to bottom. That should have been released as a beta. There should have been about a year beta. It should have been free. There's a whole list of things. I think they'll kill it before the end of the year. And the sad thing is they've signed exclusive deals with games. They've looped in studios to work with them. Hopefully those folks get taken care of.
There's no crossplay, and you've got 30 people playing Destiny right now.
The number that was released 2 weeks ago was 1,100 players on Destiny. 1,100 active players,
and they're still playing the first mission.
Yeah, they're still trying to walk.
Trying to get
a ghost.
It sucks because I was such a big champion for all year.
Yeah,
all
me too.
2019, I was a champion for game streaming. It's gonna happen. We got the technology. It's gonna happen just because of how good it was when I fucking did it, and then it was just.
I think we're gonna need a serious infrastructure upgrade before we can have any kind of good gaming.
We need a South Korea style,
Yeah, I bet you if you take the same technology and stuff, you go over to like China, Japan, Korea, that should have worked flawlessly because they have really good internet. But I don't know, like I haven't seen anything about it.
It is in Korea. There were some numbers released recently
that
the highest percentage of people using streaming gaming services are coming from Korea. Korea has the best internet in the world.
It's a fucking size of Texas.
It's just fiber everywhere.
Yeah.
It's the size of Texas with with like
huge technological advance. Yeah.
So, fuck.
King, what you got? What's your worst game company?
I'm just gonna mention the £10 billion elephant in the room. And that's EA. EA is just, even people that aren't in the gaming industry know EA is just a pile of shit, and that's from the legal aspect. That's from their dealings with other game companies. It's just, I'm so surprised EA's not 365 days in a courtroom. It's amazing, and it just gives the whole gaming industry a bad name.
Absolutely.
So there is a rumor that EA may be trying to rehab their PR. Anthem is secretly being they're working on a 2.0 for Anthem. Kind of a super big update to fix all the problems. I thought they would walk away from that game.
I'd hard pass on that so bad, even if they did a reprised version.
Fallout 76 Part 2.
But putting the Star Wars game on Steam was a kind of gesture to the players. Releasing a single player game or greenlighting a single player game, and then Anthem 2.0. Anthem has some interesting mechanics.
Anthem is a cool game.
The concept is cool.
One of the worst games of the year. I mean, I'll talk about that a little bit.
I expected them to kill.
I thought they was dead already.
Not just Anthem, but the studio that made Anthem, I thought would go away.
All right, so what's your least favorite game of the year, Robot?
I'll be quick. WWE 2K20.
Oh, samesies, dude.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I'm not a big wrestling fan, but I've always been kind of a closet wrestling game fan. And I think back to like when I was in college and we used to play the WWE games on Nintendo 64. Yeah, and the create-a player, we used to create super cool wrestlers. We had backstories for them, the whole thing. We'd get together at night and drink and have our
aliens and green skin and everything, and
our own WrestleMania, essentially. Ass man with a butt for a face.
Yeah.
And just the fun and creativity you could do around that. And wrestling games are in the dumpster, and this is a really good example of it. This game is so buggy and so janky, and they've made the controls for wrestling games so complicated that they're hard to just pick up and play. Somebody has got to go back to the drawing board and make a relatively easy to play, really good looking, good physics, with an awesome wrestler creative mode. I think there's an opportunity in this market, but WWE 2K20 was not it this year.
That's yours, King? Same?
Oh, dude, same. So WWE, let alone my rant on 2K games alone, but wrestling games in general are hot trash garbage right now.
Yeah.
And you nailed it, Robot. They're making them way too complicated. If I wanted a complicated fighting game, I'd jump into the UFC games. Like, I understand those being more complex. A wrestling game, all I want is for everything to look good. I want to sound like a cool wrestling match, and I want a cool character creation. Like, I want to make Batman and have him wrestle ass face man. Like, I want that. And don't make it complicated. Make him a button to grapple, a button to pin, really simple controls. And it is that genre. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, like, that's when wrestling was in its heyday. You had your Stone Colds, you had all these, big personalities. Now, wrestling, I'm not sure the numbers on TV wrestling now, but I can't imagine it's the same as late, even 80s, 90s.
No, it's
wrestling.
nowhere near. No.
And so, the personalities aren't there. I don't know any current wrestlers right now. Rey Mysterio, maybe. He's been around for 200 years.
Like
but
number 12, I think.
Yeah, and so it's like, you don't have your Goldbergs anymore. You don't have your Undertakers and your Kanes and all these cool personalities. And I think the new games, if you Google WWE 2K20 graphics,
holy moly,
you get the small, like, 5-minute video of the story mode, and it looks like PlayStation 1 graphics. Like, it's unreal if that's an acceptable level of
cardboard cutout people in the fucking audience.
They're all like, Laura Croft style squared off bodies.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's unreal that that's a game put out in 2019. And that kind of goes hand in hand with the whole 2K thing. Stop the annual wrestling games. Just pause for 4 years. It's going to take a hit to the pocketbook, sure, but you need to put out a real good game. Like, I want to see good graphics, and I want to hear good sounds, and I want good character creation. That's what wrestling games should be, and it's just so far away from what a good game is.
How hard would it be to make, like, wrestling game, like, controls like Smash Bros? Everybody knows the controls for every single character in Smash Bros. They all do different things. Every character has an up smash. Every character has a side smash. Every character has an up A that they can get off this or get back up on the stage with. Like, it would be so easy to do that in a wrestling type game.
Yeah.
That's how the old ones worked. You had counters, you had the moves, and they were usually like A forward, A up, A down, A back for a series of moves.
Make it like a Mortal Kombat game.
Yeah, there you go. So easy.
The developer for this game, Ukes, I remember this story for a while. I had to look it up real quick, but Ukes has been doing this for a long time. They've been under this time crunch of the annualized game.
Mm-hmm.
They've not been happy about the quality of the game. And the story is they've secretly been working on a wrestling game while they're developing a wrestling game for visual concepts or 2K.
Just a backdoor.
And
project.
EA, or not EA, but 2K found out about this, and they're pushing them off as the developers. So the hope for wrestling fans is that Ukes has got this game in their back pocket. They'll take it to another. It won't be a WWE game, but who knows? Maybe it's the wrestling game we deserve. I would take knockoff characters at this point, as long as it had a creative mode.
Yeah. Solid, what do you got for worst?
Sorry, I just saw the.
We have a new emote in chat that is God
shit.
fucking perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Woo. Okay. Worst game. Boy, let's talk about Anthem real quick. Jesus Christ, what a shit show of a launch that was. I bought the fucking $1 legendary version of this game. I played it for a good week. Beat it. Wow, there's nothing to do. There's literally nothing to do after that. Once you beat the game, it's fucking then they're like, oh hey, yeah, we're gonna have these cataclysms once we, feel everyone's ready to go. Like, with Destiny raids, they released them like a month later. Man, a month later, no cataclysm. All right, we're gonna do cataclysms in all right, cool. Cataclysms comes out. Wow, it's literally just fighting a Titan that's a little bit harder than it normally is.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
There's no new gear. What? There's no reason to play the Cataclysm. What? Like there's literally nothing. I haven't booted the game up, I think, since February. And I almost asked for my money back, but I'm like, well, I'll install it later this year, see how they do it. Nah, there's literally nothing. I don't even think I've seen a single bit of Anthem news since March.
Yeah.
Game is fucking dead. I don't know a single person that plays it. I don't know anybody that plays the fucking game. It's just absolutely the worst game that came out in 20, and it was the very beginning of 2019. Like very beginning of or end of January, beginning of February, this game came out, and there's cool stuff in it, and I'm excited. Like Robot, you're saying they're possibly doing an Anthem 2.0.
That's the story that they're taking a page out of No Man's Sky and just hunkering down, going radio silent, and are trying to fix the game.
Yeah.
I mean,
at least it took Andromeda off the map, right? The biggest fail before was their Mass Effect game.
Yeah. Now it's now BioWare.
I got Anthem.
We aren't the worst anymore. It's Anthem. Holy shit!
My worst game of the year was Destiny 2, guys.
Ooh.
On Stadia.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had no business being there. It was one of the worst experiences of my entire life playing Destiny 2 on Stadia. That was just PvE. I'm talking about when I try getting into the player versus player mode, doing the Crucible. Oh my God. I've never been so mad playing a game in my entire life. It was terrible. It was the worst experience I've ever had playing a game. It was the absolute.
I played some comp on there. I played a few matches of comp. It won them all.
Yeah.
And the key is you have to have a precision, high impact weapon. So like Ariana's Vow, bows, things like that, because you're not hitting multiple shots with the way the lag works. So you got to pick a weapon that's like fire it once and forget it.
It's so bad.
It is. It was. Yes.
Solid. What do you want to see more of coming up in the next few years?
I mean, roots, man. I mean, I want more more pixel art games. I want more of that kind of real indie flavor game to just keep coming out. I'm super excited for the next GDQ, and I can't wait to see all the new games that have just come out, speed running and stuff. Like get into that. So I just really want to see more of those types of games coming out. And I know there's a bunch coming out, and I think we're going to talk about what we're most excited, like game we're most excited for coming up. But more of side scrollers, more of pixel art games.
What about King?
So when I say surprise, I do not mean surprise mechanics. I want more game surprises, and what I mean by that is Like the Anthem launch was a complete. Anthem. Apex launch was a complete surprise. No one knew it was dropping. Boom, Apex came out, great game. Destiny, the Whisper mission came out. No one knew. It was a great surprise. It was awesome. It gets everyone excited. These small community events, like in Destiny again, this whole Bastion event, the puzzles thing was hit or miss for some people, but it was collaborative community event that people can work on. No one knew what was going on. No one knew what the end game was. Then we found out it was just a shit exotic at the end of the game, end of the whole thing. But I like seeing surprise stuff that people aren't fully aware of. We're living in an age now where everyone knows what's coming 6, 7, 8 months in advance. Yeah. I like having something to surprise me and then look forward to not knowing the path ahead.
How about you, Robot?
I want to see more of Phil Spencer's vision for gaming. Mm-hmm. I think Microsoft and Phil Spencer, and maybe it's because they're behind, but are approaching gaming in the right way. More crossplay, less exclusives. The fact that Microsoft is kind of turning away from timed exclusives on games and letting Sony buy that kind of stuff up. I like Microsoft's approach to gaming. I also like the fact that their catalog is becoming more diverse. It's not action. It's not FPS. It's a whole slew of games from different developers. I like their subscription models. I literally like everything that Microsoft is doing right now, and I want to see the entire gaming community or developers and console makers go that direction.
I'm wanting to, you guys have talked about this a little bit already, King especially, but I want to see them taking more time on releases. Don't throw out Anthem if it's not ready. Don't put these games out that we have to feel badly about and take our money in the process that we never want to play again. I hate being disappointed by games, and these last 3 years specifically have been terrible with these disappointing games. They're just not ready. They're not ready to be released, and they probably don't even need to be released. We don't have to keep these franchises rolling on that aren't making any sense. 2K is an example. Let the next Call of Duty just kind of wait 5 years. Let's do something to make a good game. So,
well, kind of a bad example of that and good. Borderlands 3 took 7 years to come out. Yeah. And right now it's in a stale spot, but at launch, awesome game. I loved every second of Borderlands 3, and it's because Gearbox took time to make another game. Yep. They didn't pop out another Borderlands on the hot heels of Borderlands 2 and just send out a trash pile just to live on the hype. They took their time to come out with another game 7 years later.
Yeah, no, that was the pre-sequel. That's the game you're talking about.
Right. Yeah, that is the hot trash pile. Yeah, I don't include that as a game. That's why.
Yeah. What about what do you want to see die forever, King?
The surprise mechanics. The other side of the surprise coin. There should not be a paywall on anything. If you're going to have cosmetics in the game, I fully agree that there can be a pay path to that, but I'd also like to see a grind path to that as well. If I'm someone that doesn't have a lot of money to throw at a game, I bought your $60 game, and would I like this top tier cosmetic? Yes. But I don't want to spend an additional $20, which is a third of the game, to get that. I would like to be able to make it so I can earn, after 20 hours of game time, enough in-game credit to buy that thing. But the whole paywall thing and loot boxes, and it's just a dark spot for gaming. We're exploiting gamers at this point.
Mm-hmm. Solid. What needs to die?
Same. I'm so sick of loot boxes. I've been sick of loot boxes day one. Me not kind of same to King. Me wanting something in a game that is cosmetic, I should not have to fucking only pay for it. If I want to pay for it, I should be able to.
Right.
Yeah. But if I want to grind something out to be able to earn that currency, and don't make the fucking currency in you have to play for a year before you can get enough to buy one thing. I'm I played a lot of MMOs, and a lot of them do this where if you, before loot boxes and before buying in-game content was a thing, you wanted something cosmetic, you had to go grind that raid 20 times before you unlocked the reward for that. And I want to get back to gaming at its roots, not buying things, because I understand people don't have 100 hours to throw into a game a lot of times, but if you don't, then I guess just because you want something that looks cool, then maybe you should be able to buy that. Make it everything piecemeal, a la carte. Like Destiny right now is there's a lot of things in there that you can buy that are but there's a lot of the stuff you can't even get to unless you buy the fucking engrams. There's no way to just
They're getting better about that, though.
They are getting better about it now, but you can't, like, a lot of stuff I can't just go purchase, which sucks. So that's it.
Robot, what you got? What needs to
console timed exclusives.
Yeah.
This, taking a whole game mode out for a year, I'm okay with them to a certain extent. A month is about the longest that I want to do.
Yeah.
A map, a gun, skins, but whole game mode, not cool. And I've heard rumors about GTA being a timed exclusive for PS5,
gross.
Sony's the biggest shitbag company out there.
Makes me want to throw up in my mouth.
I'd like to add that to
We're for the gamers. Fuck you.
EA and Sony. Sony's a grimy company.
Yeah. We can't make cross-save or cross-play work.
Yeah,
except the very first day of
Nintendo and Xbox. Yeah, Nintendo.
I didn't know where that fit, but that's the other one.
There's a reason on
more
stage
crossplay.
that motherfucker goddamn suit and tie, because he's a grimy ass motherfucker. Phil Spencer comes out. What's he wearing? Goddamn gaming t-shirt and jeans, dude. It says a lot about you when you come out in a fucking suit and tie. And you're trying to say, yeah, we're for the gamers. We're going to charge you an arm and a leg to fucking do it.
Oh, I dropped my money out of my pocket.
Yeah, hold on. My money clip. It's so big, I can't fit in my pocket.
So for me, the one thing I want to die, our longtime listeners, loyalists that listen to SpawnCampCouncil and Metagames specifically know that I want Fortnite to die forever. That's what I want to go away. I don't ever want to see another Fortnite game being played on stream. I don't want to hear anybody talk about Fortnite. I don't want to see anybody dancing some sort of stupid Fortnite dance.
You don't want to play Fortnite after this, bro?
I feel like Fortnite's been less crammed down my throat lately, though.
Yeah,
except for the Star Wars release, and what character's going to be from the next movie that comes through?
Right. The John Wick ones and.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with you though. Fortnite needs to die, unless they bring out Save the World. If they bring out Save the World and actually release, I will be all for playing Fortnite. Not VR, just the PvE, because the PvE stuff is awesome.
I've never played a single game of Fortnite PvE or PvP, and I'm proud of that.
So similarly,
good for you.
I guess on the heels of that idea, what do we need changed in gaming right now? Not necessarily dead, but what change do we need?
Just transparency. I like seeing, like what Robot said, with developers coming out and saying, this is what our goal is for the game. This is how we're going to achieve this. The whole thing, with Bungie, their big tagline, we're listening. I want to see that you're listening. I want you to acknowledge what we've been saying. I want to see the steps that you're going to do to create what we are asking you to do. And just the transparency in general is big.
I think we need good cloud gaming. We need the infrastructure there, like we talked about. We need to have a cloud gaming service that actually works, and get to that point where we're not having to buy, from waste standpoint, from productivity outpoint, the point of purchase stuff, merchandising, all the waste that goes on, stuff like that. I mean, if we just had cloud gaming, you had your one little thing that you had in your house, everything could be run off a server somewhere else, so we wouldn't have to go through all this material, of having the console, having the games and discs and all this crap. I mean, and especially have it universally, so that you can play whatever game at whatever time with all your friends.
A universal gaming platform, like Robot was saying, for all these different game launchers, one single platform that would encompass all the launchers into one thing. I think that's a genius idea. Actually,
is that your
somebody's working on it?
Somebody has to be. They have to be, even if it's not like official and it's just kind of something you download, but you can access all the launchers through this one little program. I think that'll be a real game changer.
Is that your pick, Solid, for what needs to be changed in gaming?
Fuck no. My thing that we need is games that are actually fucking done. I am so sick of having these games that come out that are like, we need another 2 years on this game, but you can play it. Like early access gaming, I mean, I understand that it needs to happen, but Jesus Christ, quit fucking making me pay $60 for a game in early access.
Mm-hmm. Well, AAA early access shouldn't be a thing. I get
indie
developer,
yes,
that needs income coming in. I understand that.
Yeah. I'm so sick of games. Like, how many games came out in the year that just weren't done? Period. I mean, there's so many, and it's just I always say this. This is the reason I like retro games so much. They're all the games that came out when they came out. They were fucking done. There's a couple that weren't. Yeah. But man, retro games are just that's where it is, because I can't stand all these fucking games that come out. They're just not done. Just period.
And Robot, what needs to change?
Cross save or cross save, crossplay.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
Every multiplayer game needs to be, just for the health of the online community, the health of the servers. So better load times into matches, more diverse competition. I really don't care about input device. I think that's overrated. The don't mix mouse and keyboard with controller. Let's get these populations as big as possible.
That's the only reason I came back to Destiny was cross save. I wasn't going to start again on PC from scratch. And when cross save came out, I was like, yeah, I'll jump back in.
I get it.
Yeah. All right, Robot, what are you most excited for? What game are you looking forward to this year coming up?
That I'll probably take everybody else's, but Cyberpunk. I think that's
gonna be cool.
It's gonna be cool. Yeah. Outside of Destiny, and definitely my favorite first player game was the Witcher series. CD Projekt Red does excellent work. Everything about this game looks good. I love Cyberpunk. It's got fucking Keanu Reeves. Holy shit. I mean, can this thing get any better? And I just don't want to have my heart broken. But I'm excited.
What you looking forward to?
Super Meat Boy Forever. I'm looking forward to this game for about a year now, 2 years since. It sucks that it's only coming to the Epic Game Launcher at first, but it's supposed to come out this year at some point. It was, so I'm very excited to play it, and I'm excited to beat it real fast.
What are you thinking?
Dark Alliance, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, the D&D RPG. It's going to be super fun. I'm doing it mostly for the lore. I can't wait just to immerse myself in the lore of D&D, and that's gonna be super fun. It's coming out in the fall. So.
The one thing that I'm looking forward to, one game, is when we were watching our E3 coverage, 12 minutes. That game.
That's the top-down one, right? The
story, is the murder,
yes,
one screen where
you look. It's in an apartment, right?
Yes, in an apartment. Sort of.
That looks super cool.
Yeah.
That game, I'm always on the fringe of getting these weird sort of games like Disco Elysium we talked about, Gorogoa, a few years back, and these sort of fringe games that are kind of this weird sort of interactivity, and then at 12 minutes is right up my alley, man. This looks so.
That looks very cool.
Yeah. King, fans of metagame know you well, but what do you got coming for us in 2020? What you got going?
So I'm going to continue the D&D coverage. That's going to be my main kind of focus. Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance is going to be the main one that's coming out. It's going to be in the fall, but we're going to keep tabs on that really closely. It's coming out for PC and console from Tuque Games out of Quebec. It's just a revamp of the 2001 PS2 version, so it's going to be super fun. And then also Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, which is it's a 304-page book, so fat book from Woods of the Coast, which is the whole lore and world from the Critical Role campaign with Matt Mercer and
okay.
So that is including new subclasses, new spells, new items, a whole new setting, and like I said, 304 page, so it's a fat book. It's actually one of the bigger books that they've released. So
nice.
That's like a whole fucking campaign setting book that they're doing.
Oh yeah, it's really cool. I think it's as big as like the DM's guide. So I mean, it's big.
Awesome.
Big book, and that's coming out March 17th.
Cool.
Sweet.
Solid. What are you gonna be talking about with metagame here coming up?
Man, we're just gonna keep rolling with the indie coverage. Probably gonna be doing a lot more speedrun centric stuff as well. I mean, I'm still gonna keep plugging away at Nintendo, Pokemon, but I'm definitely gonna try and get more into like the speedrun aspect of stuff. There's a lot of people that I've met even over the last couple months over Twitter and stuff, just interest in speedrunning. I'm probably gonna try and get a lot more into that because there's a lot more events now for speedrunning than just GDQ. There's these GDQ expresses that happen. There's ESA that happens. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. So when we bring a lot more of that to the table, and I'm going to try and get a couple of the guys that I've met through speedrunning, maybe for some interviews and stuff, just what they think about running the games that they run. There's even a couple girls that I've been talking to that run games as well, that just to see the female aspect of speedrunning and gaming in general. So
cool. Robot, what do you got coming for us?
Hey, Destiny's in a lull right now, but I feel like it's going to pick up. There probably will be some announcements around March. Maybe we'll get a peek at Destiny 3 or whatever the next big
just crossing my fingers for Dark Guardians. I just want that so bad.
Been saying it.
I think we're kind of in a news lull right now, but if you think about historically, March, April is when we hear something interesting about Destiny. And this next year, a lot of interesting news on kind of graphics cards and GPU front. AMD's got cards. Supposedly they have something that can compete with NVIDIA, with Big Navi. And we're going to 7 nanometers, so cards are getting more efficient, better compute power, and there's some leaks out on the 30 series cards that maybe they're closer than we think, and promised improvement performances like in the 30 and 40% range. That's just with the 3080.
Wow, that's a big jump.
It's a big jump. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody will have hardware supported RTX, so I think we'll start to see ray tracing show up in a lot more games and the new consoles.
Yeah, very
nice. Yep.
That's it.
Okay. In metagame, you can count on us for like all the game reviews. We got Cyberpunk 2077 coming up, Last of Us 2, Diablo 4, Hellblade 2, Overwatch 2, 12 minutes, Carrion, the one where you play as the monster.
Oh, I can't wait for it, dude. Holy shit.
And then Watch Dogs Legion. So you can count us for all that good content. So really excited about it. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. So great job for you guys. Where can we find you in the real world, King?
You find me Twitter, Twitch, gaming everywhere at KingDawes1.
Cool. Robot.
OldDirtyRobot on pretty much anything. Steam, Twitch, not Twitch. I'll never stream.
I would love to see a robot stream.
Oh my god.
And Twitter.
Very good. SolidscorpionZ, where are you?
You can find me Twitter, Twitch, if I'm ever streaming. If I'm streaming, I'm probably I'm speed running because I'm too lazy to encode my own videos. So, but you can find me all over the place at SolidscorpionZ.
Fantastic. And I'm Adam212. You can find me under that moniker on Twitch and everywhere else. The Twitters, Insta, and all that stuff. So come game with us. Come listen to Metagame and get all this good content. Thank you for listening and watching. That concludes our episode. Check us out in 2 weeks for our next episode coming up. Until then, remember, it's possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That's not a weakness. That's life. Good night.